Amaxhosa uthi ulwaphulomthetho alusayi kwamkeleka konke konke okubuza emva kokugetyengwa kommi wase.
Good evening, everyone. I hope you can see me. Good evening to everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, good. I'm so happy this evening because we've got two very interesting things to put together. First, we've got a very interesting person who's going to talk about very interesting topic. We've got Dusha with us, and we've got topic of karma and secrets of karma. Dusha is coming from the same homeland as me, and welcome, Dusha. Welcome to everyone from South Africa. Okay. So I'll tell you the secret before she starts. Her name is beautiful name, and it means soul. If we add this smile to that, Dusha is Dusha G. Okay, and what's good about Dusha? Because she's coming from a scientific field, and she's very interested in spirituality. Scientifically, she's got academic degrees in mathematics and computers, and she is our doctor of science. On the other side, we've got good combination. We've got someone who loves spirituality. And how we find the secrets of spirituality, if we find the secrets and secret codes in science, then it's very good. It's coming as a truth, somewhere in between. So my lovely South Africans, my lovely friends and family, let's listen to Dusha and what she's gonna share with us about very deep topic, because each and every one of us lately, last 10, 20, 30 years, are talking about karma, karma, karma. This is karma, that is karma. Everything is karma. And many times we just think about karma as, let's say, punishment or reward or just basically action and reaction. But let's think this way. It's much more. Let's listen to Dusha.
Thank you very much, Rada, for your kind introduction. So yes, I do come. Thank you. Thank you. It's very nice to be with all of you. Yes, I do come from scientific background, but today I won't be talking about science. You might be glad to know. However, if there is interest, maybe we can combine it for another time. However, I might use a logical way of thinking, which comes from my scientific background, to explain karma. So perhaps something new, something different. Let's see. Okay, so as Rada said, karma, the word karma, might have, might remind us of punishment, or it might not. However, it tends to have a negative connotation, the word karma. And I would rather tonight, at least in your minds, if we can get rid of this negative connotation, because the word karma, just the word karma, it means nothing else but action. So the word karma means action. It doesn't indicate bad action, good action, nothing, just action. So when yes, we do tend to say, if something bad happens to somebody, we tend to say, oh, what can you do, karma? I mean, but this is with negative connotation. So no, please, let's get rid of this. And we are now, I'm going to just give, first of all, I'll start with giving some general things about karma, and then we are going to go deeper to explain it in a slightly different way, but again, in addition to this, so that we can understand it better. So we are approaching it from two different angles in order to understand it better, because the times we live now are quite crucial for understanding karma, because we are witnesses of more and more turmoil, some natural, some man-made. So it is a good time to understand what karma is, so that we can live life in a slightly easier way. So hopefully we can learn something tonight. Okay, so when we talk about karma, of course, very closely related is the law of karma. And only when we talk about law of karma, we have the cause and effect. Okay, or we can compare it with since we mentioned my background, scientific background, I'll throw third Newton's law here, action and reaction. So this is it, cause and effect of action. Okay, this is the law of karma. Let's see how it all works. Hopefully we'll clarify today. So there are three levels on which karma works: thoughts, words, and action itself, or deed. So it's not only what we do with action, also thoughts are action and words are action, as well as action or deed. Okay, so we create karma on all three levels. Okay, so we need to be careful about our thoughts, and thoughts are actually most important because they are the seeds of everything we say. They are seeds for other thoughts, and they are seeds for our actions. So the thoughts are very important. Words and deeds, on all three levels we create karma. And of course, there are three kinds of karma. So the one that we sometimes mean, but just by saying the word karma, the one that when we use it with negative connotation is actually negative karma. Okay, so karma doesn't mean negative, but we can have negative karma, positive karma, and neutral karma. Okay, however, as we have, from the time we were born until now, we have become the way we are now, and we have done everything that we have done up until now on the basis of what we have learned on the way. So when we were little, we were surrounded by parents, siblings, other children, teachers, and we learned a lot from them. Some things we learned well, some things we learned not so well, but we are aware, so we are working on those weaknesses to improve. And some things we haven't learned well, but we are not even yet aware, so we need to discover first and then work on them. But why I'm saying all this, the point is that we were growing and picking up things on the way. We were learning through experiences, depending on our perception of those experiences. We were learning through formal education, sometimes informal education. So all those methods, we have picked up things on the way. And right now we are the way we are. And because many of the teachings were, even though everybody around us did the best they could, it doesn't mean that everything I've picked up and learned up until now is really so good. So because we have done so many things with perhaps not so much under control, we might have done some negative karma. And it's very likely that we have, because we are living in hard times, but also we don't have in education really, at least not in formal education, we don't have some part that is teaching us how to make most of this life. So right now, we as a person, but also as civilization, we have accumulated a lot of negative karma. So if you would compare this with a bank account, you could say we are in deficit, we are in the red. And if you can imagine, zero is contentment, peace, happiness, silence. In one word, we can call it nirvana. So this is the state we want to be in. But if we are in the deficit and we want to be where zero is, where the neutral is, then we right now need to perform a lot of positive karma to build up, to build up, to build up. So really, we cannot afford to do any negative karma anymore, because we have got a lot to make up to come to that zero. Okay. Also, third kind is neutral action or neutral karma. However, these kind of actions are possible to perform only when we are at that zero, at that balance. Only then we can do neutral karma. Otherwise, right now, only positive by recommendation, just to make it up and come to that neutral space. Okay, so now, I'm not sure if you believe in reincarnation, and it's perfectly fine to believe or not to believe, and you will all be right, and I'll tell you why. It is because you will all know that right now we have about 8 billion people on the planet, Earth, we are talking about. So you might know, but if you don't know, it's very easy to check. About 70 years ago, in 1950, there was 2 billion people on this planet. And that was only 70 years ago. Why did I choose about 70 years ago to pick up the stats from about 70 years ago? Is because 70 years is around about somewhere average lifetime. Perhaps a bit more nowadays because we live a bit longer now, thanks to the developments in the medicine. However, so what I'm trying to say is 70 years ago, 2 billion people. Now, 8 billion people. So the population has quadrupled in the last 70 years, which means 3/4 of the world, this 6 billion extra, which is 3/4 of 8 billion. Okay, a little bit of science for you. 3/4 of the world, 75% of the world are there in their first life. So they're not going to understand the concept of reincarnation because they haven't experienced it. Whilst those, the first quarter, who keep coming back, they will have experienced it as souls. So they are going to have it recorded. So they believe in reincarnation with conviction, if you know what I mean. But this is why I would never speak to people reincarnation just like that, because, or to convince them. I would never try to convince them because a majority of the population has not experienced reincarnation. So you are right whether you believe in it or not. That's great. Okay, so why did I want to bring the concept of reincarnation? Is because I just want to add, if you believe in reincarnation, then a reincarnation is inherited from one life to another, so it builds up. And if we've built up some negative karma through several lives, then it's time now to, to neutralize that karma. Okay. Now I would like to try an alternative way to say exactly the same thing, but with different words. So we are approaching it from different angle. Okay, now. Souls, we are all souls, and you won't be surprised that I say this because you have tuned in with a spiritual organization now to hear this talk. So all these souls, you might say we are all souls and we are all the same. Well, we might have bits and pieces the same, but what is definitely different is the potential of the soul. So potential, you can call capacity also. We quite use both words, not much difference. So each soul has a different capacity or a potential. For the purpose of this talk, I'll call it potential, but I mean the same thing. So each soul has its own potential. And what is this potential to do with? It is to do with the ability to experience and express love, peace, and happiness. So the potential is to do with the ability to experience love, peace, and happiness, or self, yeah, to experience self. Okay, now, some souls have higher potential to experience and express love, peace, and happiness, some lower. And I'm not trying to say some are better, some worse. No, no comparison whatsoever. It's just different. And because we all have different potential, that's what makes our character different. What we do is different. So all those things depend on our potential. Okay, and as you can imagine, a small seed, grain, you know, it's so small, it's easy to lose, it's hard to see, but if you give it a little bit of sunshine, a little bit of water, it's going to grow into a significant tree, right? So this is thanks to the potential of the seed. So the potential with a little bit of investment wants to realize itself. It wants to burst into its realization. Exactly the same for our potential. Okay, so what is also our potential? My potential is my best self. I can't get better than that. That's my ceiling here. This is my potential. However, right now I'm here. How did I get here? I got here by learning on the way, formally, informally, through experiences, through education. That's what brought me here. And here, as we said, some things we know, some things we don't know, but here I know everything I can possibly know. This is my potential. And when I talk about knowledge, I don't mean worldly knowledge. It's not history, geography, science. I'm talking about knowing myself, knowing my purpose, why am I here, what am I doing? Basically, I'm talking about knowledge that we're teaching here in these kind of talks. But also to experience and express love, peace, and happiness, because the potential has got to do with it. So once I'm here, I've reached my potential. I am able to experience love, peace, and happiness and express up to my potential. Okay, I hope you're following so far. So this is my potential, but I'm here. How am I going to get from here to here? Here, I don't know everything I'm able to know, but here I know everything I'm able to know. So that means that between this point and this point, what needs to happen is some learning process. I need to learn what I'm able to know. Okay, so learning is the process. Now, when somebody asked us for the first time what is 2 + 2, I don't know about you, but I didn't know what is 2 + 2. This is not knowledge that we are born with. So when I was asked, I didn't know, and this is why I experienced it as a challenge. It's a challenge. Why? Because I don't know. The moment I learned what is 2 + 2, it was not a challenge anymore. It was easy because I knew. So whenever we experience challenge, it's because we don't know something. Okay. But if I know it, it's not a challenge anymore. And for me personally, because I happen to be good at numbers, it wasn't only not challenge, it was pleasure to work with numbers, right? So do you see what is the difference between a challenge and a pleasure? What we know, don't know is a challenge. When we know, well, it's not a challenge anymore, but would be pleasure also. So because we don't know many things, we have to get here from here, we are going to get some challenges. Where are they going to come from? From the fact that the potential wants to realize itself with very little input, wants to realize itself. So it is going to almost invoke situations that to provide us with opportunities to learn what we don't know. So here it is, a challenging situation has come. In challenging situation, well, a situation has come, but we are experiencing it as a challenge because there is something we don't know. And now, challenging situations we very often describe as negative situations. And very often, situations become negative when somebody is playing a negative role in it. Yes, so I'm using old language, right? The negative people and negative situations. Once we have learned this lesson, we will realize nothing is negative anymore. So, challenging situation, which is perceived as negative most of the time, and within a situation, a negative situation, very often a person needs to play a negative role in order to create a situation to be negative for us. So what do we do then? Do we see this as a lesson? It's a challenge, and we'll learn from it in order to go closer to our potential? Or do we get stuck in the nitty-gritty detail and start complaining, how could he do that? Why did she say that? And so on. So everybody should answer this question for themselves. what I'm saying is every single situation is an opportunity to learn. However, if I get stuck in the detail, I'm not going to learn, but I'm going to waste my time and attention in wrong details. So now, if we understand karma in this way, so this is how we can compare with what we did earlier. Every time I perform an action, I express. Every time I perform an action, I express what I don't know, what I know. If I express something that I don't know, that means I'm invoking a lesson to come for me to learn. So the lesson is going to come in form of a challenge. So really, I am attracting this opportunity for learning to come. And then if I don't make the most of it, I'm not going to learn. And if I don't learn from that opportunity to learn, then that lesson, guess what? Because in my potential is that I know it, that I'm able to know it. If I don't use the opportunity to learn, the potential is going to invoke that lesson again and again. And it's going to be, the lesson is going to get a little bit harder and harder each time because I'm not open for learning. And the closer I am, the more closed I am for learning, the harder the lessons are that are going to come. You may recall that author Eben Alexander, who was a neurosurgeon, he still is, neurosurgeon, so you can imagine hardcore scientist, and he was not very spiritual before, but of course he was here, his potential was here to be very spiritual. And because he was close for learning, something very, very dramatic had to happen for him to unblock himself and come closer to his potential. But the harder we are for learning, the more dramatic situations are going to come. So for him, what happened was he got meningitis with some very rare bacteria that can get to the head. He got meningitis, and through this meningitis, he experienced a near-death experience. And only this near-death experience opened his eyes and he saw. And he realized that he is a soul and there is life after this physical death and so on. So this is it. The harder we are for learning, the harder the lesson is going to come. So we really need to learn with this. We need to be open for learning. We need to be passionate for learning. The more passionate we are for learning, the faster we learn, and the faster we perform that positive karma, as we called it earlier, so that we can come to the neutral. If we understand karma in this way, then you will never, ever want to teach anybody a lesson, because the potential, they themselves are going to invoke all the lessons that they need to know. So you will never need revenge again in your life. I mean, you never needed it, but people say, I have to get revenge. I'm angry. How could I do this? I'll teach them a lesson and so on. So you will not need to have these thoughts at all. It's a waste of time, waste of energy, waste of effort. So we don't need any revenge, nor to teach anybody a lesson. That's it. Everything will come where it should be. However, for me, I need to make sure that I learn with open mind, I learn the right thing, and the more I learn, I'm going to be closer to my potential, and the closer I'm to the potential, which is my maximum, the easier and the more beautiful my life is going to be. Okay. What I would like to also, since I mentioned that events in life are opportunities to learn, I would also like to add that everything that happens in life, it's also good to use it as a test. So whatever I do, whatever my reaction or action to whatever happens, is a test. Always is a test. Why? Because from everything I do, I can see from the test whether I have passed the test, which means, well done, Dusha, do it again, this is good, or I've made a mistake and I realize this is my weakness and I want to change it. So when we fail sometimes in life, we shouldn't be whipping ourselves. We should just say, aha, I failed this test. This failure indicates what is my weakness and what I need to work on. And this is it. No point whipping, because it's hard enough when we fail tests. We don't need to whip ourselves. But when we whip ourselves, we are not going to learn as fast. We learn through suffering also, but why learn through suffering? If I can learn in a nice way, through meditation, through receiving knowledge like this, through finding answers, through journeying with people alike, spiritual people, and so on. So everything that happens is a test. However, in the same time, it could also be a lesson. But if it's not a lesson, it could also be a signpost. So lesson and a signpost are mutually exclusive. Why? Because the lesson is there for me to learn, and the signpost, so learn from the situation, and the signpost says, leave the situation. However, we must never interpret the situation in life to be a signpost unless we are 100% sure. Why? Because if it is a lesson, but interpreted as a signpost to leave, that may be running away from the lesson. And we shouldn't be running away from the lessons. Why? Because every time it comes back, it's in a harder form. It may not come in the same form. It doesn't have to be, but it's the same lesson. Why? Because that's the lesson I need to learn to come closer to my potential. And sometimes people say, when we talk about karma, people say, but why I always have a challenge with this same person? And why did it have to be exactly that person? Because I cannot run away from that person. I cannot get away. So really, from experience, I've learned that the closer the person who is bringing your challenge is, or the harder it is to get away from the person that is bringing a challenge, the more important lesson they are bringing. So if somebody does something wrong to you on the street, or they do something bad, okay, you might get upset, you might not, and you carry on. But if somebody is under the roof, or somebody close, parents, children, somebody close, that means it's hard to get away, right? That means they're bringing you very, very important lesson, because those lessons are instantly repeating. Haven't you experienced? Or they're repeating one after another until we learn. But the sooner we learn, the sooner we overcome that challenge, the sooner we pay back that karma, and the sooner we come to that potential and live life happily ever after. So I have said a few provoking things, so provoking thoughts, I mean. So if anybody would like me to clarify something, that would be great. Of course, there is a lot to say, but I think I've said, I hope you have managed to follow the thread and understand the point I was trying to make. So are there any questions so far?
Dusha,
Yes.
I don't see questions in the chat box.
Okay.
And I forgot to mention to everyone listening, please ask the questions and put them, just write them down in the chat box for Dusha. Okay, you can do it now. I'll just comment because I really observe karma like most of us. And I love actually that truth that is comforting us. The truth that it is for our goodness and we actually progress through karma. So I love it because I am from the medical field and I just observe how people are afraid of their health karma. And they don't understand their health karma. They think they did something bad previously and they're punished for some health crisis. But actually, like you were saying, karma is mathematics. And 2 and 2 is 4. And what is so simple, once you understand there is a reason for everything. And you start learning, like you are learning lessons in relationships, like you are learning all the lessons, you know, on a level of thoughts, happiness, everything. And the same is in the health. In the health, there are many laws, and we forgot most of them, like you said, this position, that position. So we have to go up. And I'm so happy it's happening. It's happening so much lately. So everything is good. Let's just see our questions.
Can I just build on what you have just said, Rada, because I normally get a question, can I inherit somebody else's karma? Sometimes.
Yes, that's a good question. That's a good question.
So I would say, from the way we explained it, you can say we can see that we have our own lessons to learn, and everybody will need to learn their own lessons. So, for example, if we have a huge event, let's say in the family, one is affected in one way, another is another way. We are all affected in a different ways. That means from one single event, we have a lot, each one of us, a lot to learn and perhaps different things to learn. But can karma be inherited from somebody else? I would say not really. However, if I inherit the behavior from people I live with, then I might create the same karma. And if it is negative, then in that way, I may have a similar lesson to learn. So for example, if my parents have certain karma and I've inherited their behavior, and then I create the same karma, so I can inherit the behavior and therefore the karma. But if they've done something bad and I don't carry on their behavior, it doesn't mean that I will be paying their karma. So karma is not inherited between souls. And if there are no questions, I would like to share a story. Is that okay, Rada? Can we share?
Well, let's see what's the time. Yes, please.
Yes.
Please.
A short story. The message of the story is everything that happens for a good reason. And if we believe this, life is much easier. And if we have a difficulty believing there is a good reason, we can turn it into a lesson, and it will definitely be a good reason because we are going closer to our potential. So here's the story. Once upon a time, there was a king. And just like all kings, this king had an advisor. And normally advisors are wise men. So the king one day decided to go hunting, but wherever he went, he took his advisor with him. So that day also he took his advisor with him. So off they went to the jungle to go hunting. And whatever the king was doing, he managed to get a cut on his hand. And he started screaming, oh, why did this happen now? I'm bleeding, I'm in pain. But I was really looking forward to this day. And the advisor, being a wise man, he said, oh, I'm really sorry you have a cut on your hand and now you are in pain, but I'm 100% sure there is a good reason why this happened. And the king now gets a little bit annoyed. And he says, oh, what could possibly be a good reason behind being in pain or bleeding? And the advisor said, yes, you are absolutely right. I don't know what the good reason is, but I'm 100% sure there is a good reason. So the king gets even more annoyed now. He said, oh, you are not as wise as I thought. That's it. You are not my advisor anymore. I.e., the advisor loses his job and he's no longer an advisor. However, he's still a wise man. So he doesn't get upset that he lost his job. He turns around and goes back to the city. The king continues walking through the jungle, and eventually he comes across a local tribe. And when they saw him, all they saw in him was a very well-groomed man. And that was very interesting for them. So they captured the man. And the king started shouting, I'm the king, let me go. And first of all, they couldn't understand what he was saying because they had their own language. But also, king doesn't mean anything to them. The only authority they had in their life was the head of the tribe. So anyway, he was a very well-groomed, attractive man. So they captured him and they were very proud of that. They took him to the head of the tribe to show him off. And the head of the tribe says, well done, very good catch. He's so perfect. I want you to take him away, keep him overnight, and early in the morning, bathe him and prepare him for a perfect sacrifice to our gods, because only perfect things can be sacrificed. Okay, so that's what they did. They took him away, and in the morning while they were bathing him, guess what? They noticed a cut on his hand. And of course, they were very disappointed. They ran to the head of the tribe. They said, oh, we are really sorry. He is not as perfect as we thought. He has a cut on his hand. And the head of the tribe said, oh, never mind. He's useless. Just let him go. So hopefully your penny dropped, just like the kid's penny dropped, but there is a little bit more to the story. So the king realized where he made a mistake and he ran back to the city looking for the wise man, and eventually he found him. And when he found him, he apologized, God knows how. I'm really sorry. I was so shallow-minded, short-sighted. This is what happened. I'm really sorry. And the wise man said, no need to apologize, not at all. Even though I was doing my job perfectly well as an advisor, I lost my job. I didn't have a clue why. However, I knew there was a good reason. I didn't know then what the good reason was, but now I know, because if you didn't get rid of me, I would have continued working with you. When they captured you, they would have captured me. And when they realized you had a cut on your hand, they would have sacrificed me. So 2 stories.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
Because advantages, disadvantages, advantages.
Yes.
They're all, interwoven. And
yes.
plus becomes minus, minus becomes plus.
Yes. But the main aim is to get to the zero, neutral. So this story really says, however impossible it is to believe that there is a good reason, or to see there is a good reason behind something happening, there is always a good reason. And turn it into a lesson and it will always be good.
Dusha, we've got more one statement than the question. Someone is saying, so basically accept everything, what happens to us in life, and trying to learn from the situation. Would you like to maybe just turn on that a little bit?
Well, really, I mean, not much more than we have said. Everything that happens, however small, however big, however just to be open-minded, and we should never kill ourselves thinking, what is the lesson, what is the lesson, what is the lesson? No, all we need to do is being open-minded for learning, open for learning, and then the lessons will come, because sometimes it takes time to see what we were supposed to learn. It takes sometimes longer time, longer churning, longer process to see. But as long as we are open for learning, because sometimes, it's never worth banging the head of the wall to work out what the lesson is. Never, because sometimes it's too deep or too complex in order to be seen. Like, for example, this story that I've shared. Who could have seen the real reason why the king had a cut? Never. You don't know what's going to happen. And then when it happens, and it happened many times in my life, happened that I just let go of, I'm open for learning, but I let go of what the lesson is. And later on, is like, wow, everything is so clear. Everything is so, you say that, wow, it's inevitable that this happened. Of course, it makes sense. There are so many laws in this drama and law of karma. If we know all these laws, we are going to make less mistakes, and we are going to live life more accurately with fewer consequences. The closer we are to the potential, the fewer mistakes we make. Because wiser.
I like what you're saying. I really do. I like what you're saying, how to actually just accept, and then you're gonna realize, definitely you're gonna realize it.
Absolutely.
You're gonna see the clear picture today or tomorrow.
Yes.
Dusha, I want to ask you something, because we like to go back to the beginning of your talk when you said karma is starting from our thoughts. Can you share with us a little bit more how it works?
Okay, so for example, what I am observing lately, people use the words, this is difficult, very often. When I came up with this example, I thought, oh, maybe it's not relevant. But since then, I heard it so many times, I said, wow, it is relevant. It's a very common thought. This is difficult. So for example, somebody asks me to do something for the first time, and I don't like doing things for the first time. I like to have experience. I want to be comfortable. I want to have a chance to rehearse. And this is now for the first time. I don't have time to do anything. It's for the first time, and I need to do it. But I believe it is difficult. Where does this take me? It takes me to feeling anxious. I have to do it, but I hate it. I have to do it, but I'm not sure I can do this. And then I'm having anxiety, fear, sulking. I'm not feeling well. I have tightness in the chest, and if it lasts too long, it might even impact my health. Okay, so if I'm suffering, what's that? I mean, it's not good. In the best case, I'll be paying back some karma, but why? Just because I don't know. But if I transform that thought, it is difficult, into I can do it, then I'm not going to have fear, anxiety, and not being afraid of failing. Why? Because failing is just indication that I have a weakness to work on. That's it. Because what is the point of thinking that I'm in Edinburgh if I'm in London? So I need to know the test is indication where I'm at. What is the point of believing that I'm strong if I'm weak? But if I'm weak, it's good to know what my weakness is, so I can work on it. So it's beneficial. Tests are beneficial. Without tests, we will never know where we are at. Without lessons, we are never learning. Without signposts, we are not going to know which way to go. So these three, which is really the sum of all the events in our life, every single event is beneficial.
I'm just listening what you're saying, and one thought is coming to me. where thoughts are coming from, because for all of our listeners, just to understand the clear picture, because if we put, let's say, 10 people in front of the same situation, they might all think differently. So what is the uniqueness that is making different thoughts to different people, and
Right.
where thoughts are coming from?
Okay, so as we said earlier, our behavior, so we are going to experience situations in different ways depending on what we have picked up on the way. So we learned through experiences, we build up certain perception, we have some beliefs, all those experiences have made us this way or that way, depends on how we perceive. So we are all different in that sense. So this is why our perception of exactly the same event is going to be very different depending on how we perceive what we have learned and how we have learned. I mean, if you go around the world and listen to the news, the same news is going to be described in many different ways because different nationalities, different people, different ages are going to interpret it in a different way. So this is it. It depends where we are at. Yeah.
That's true. But Dusha, what is very practical, and we like to be practical, like mathematics? What is the solution? What is the solution for people? Because we all know it's not easy to change ourselves. It's not easy. Sometimes we want to change our thoughts, we know the theory, but how to actually build up us in an easy way to accept, to know our thoughts, to change our thoughts, our beliefs, our perceptions. How can we do it?
Okay, so there is a very good method how to do this, but of course the time is short. But what we need to change is our behavior changes on our habits. So we need to work on our habits. We want our habits to be on the basis of experience and express of love, peace, and happiness. So through everything I think, everything I do, everything I say, to be an experience and expression of love, peace, and happiness. So this is what I use for testing myself. When I do something, I say, what did I express there? Was it love? Was it peace? Was it happiness? Was it a combination? Or was it none of it? If it is none of it, it's a weakness. I need to change this habit.
How we change the habit?
Okay, so I mean, I can talk about an hour on this, really.
Okay, we can leave it for the next time, but just in essence.
Yes. This is really systematic method where we can change, and it really works. It's a very effective method. How do we change our habits?
I think that's very important. So our dear friends who are listening this evening, just to know there is a solution, and we're going to work on that. And for now, we actually learned so much from Dusha. Thank you so much. And I don't see many other questions, so maybe you can just finish with maybe a few minutes of meditation, just to put us in a right mood, just be empowered for our lives, and to have a trust in our karma.
Yes. Thank you. So I suggest you sit comfortably, lean back, and relax. Ideally with both feet on the floor, if that's comfortable. And now, while I'm aware of the physical surroundings, I withdraw my attention from the surroundings and I take my attention within. And I visualize myself traveling within, going deeper and deeper. All the way until I reach that point of absolute silence. And experience that deep silence. And experience the peace that comes with that deep silence. Merge with that silence. Be silence. Completely at peace with self. Feeling loving and content. And while maintaining this deep silence, and experiencing the peace and contentment, gently bring your attention back to the room. Om Shanti, thank you.
Thank you, Dusha. It works. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for sharing the wisdom. Okay, we're gonna just greet you for now and see you soon.
See you soon. Thank you.
Greetings of peace to you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. See you soon.
Yes. You've got many greetings. They say namaste, thank you from this side.